Good evening. I'm Eric A. Cinotti, and here's what's making the news headlines tonight. Middle East tensions, as always, on the rise. Israel is advancing legislation targeting the United Nations Relief and Workers Agency for Palestine Refugees, otherwise known as the UNRWA. This series of bills could label the UNRWA as a terrorist organization, effectively barring its operations within Israel and revoking any immunity status typically granted to its personnel. This legislative move has sparked intense debate across the region, especially amid all of the tensions and the current conflicts going on in that region. We need to definitely pay attention to that. There is a lot going on in Israel, Palestine, all the other countries. So now Israel has made significant move forward to label the United Nations as a terror organization, folks. Think about that right here. You heard it on our news. Also, the United States presidential race is heating up. As election day approaches, candidates are intensifying their campaigns across the nation. They're going everywhere they need to go. This is what they do, right? Hopefully they're coming to your neighborhood and my neighborhood. Key issues on the table here include climate policy, social justice, and economic reforms. Kind of pretty much the standard stuff. Recent events and endorsements are drawing significant attention in battleground states. A lot of battleground states that Arizona, North Carolina, Wisconsin, these are your states that could go either way, heating up real hard there. These issues are expected to play a pivotal role in voter turnout in all states, but specifically these states. In further news, leaving the United States again, we're going to talk about the UN Biodiversity Conference, also known as COP16. It's taking place in Cali, Colombia. Leaders from around the world are gathering for COP16, the UN Biodiversity Conference, to address the pressing conservation and biodiversity challenges facing the world. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres has issued a call for immediate action, emphasizing that the environmental crisis must be a global priority if we are to preserve our ecosystems and ensure the stability for future generations. That's coming from the UN spokesperson, not from us. Okay, further in the news, outside the United States, Sudan is in crisis, and we have to really put some highlight on that because I'm not really sure how many other news outlets are doing that. In Sudan, humanitarian efforts are continuing, and the situation amongst the inner workings is deteriorating. The United Nations is reporting that over 11 million people are now displaced due to the escalating violence and widespread human rights abuses. Widespread human rights. I don't know what other outlets are putting this out, but this is what we have today, and I'm giving it to you. International aid and organizations have expressed deep concern, urging for increased support as conditions seem to worsen and the crisis is intensifying. We'll follow up on this in further news editions, but today is just to the talking points. Also in news in the United States, which I think is really big news, but it was not in the order, so we're going to go with it. Ballot box arson. Ballot box, folks. Voting ballots. Ballot box. Arson. Incidents in Arizona, Oregon, and Washington State. In a disturbing series of incidents that threatens the integrity, literally, this really does, threatens the integrity of our democratic process. Ballot boxes have been deliberately set on fire in Arizona, Oregon, and Washington. This troubling trend is raising serious concerns among ballot security and safety across all the states, not just the states we named here. especially with early voting and the mail-in ballots. And we're talking Arizona is a swing state, as we said originally. So ballot boxes, I'm already worried that we're seeing, interruption in our elections. I truly hope that this crisis is averted in the future. But this is what we have breaking now. You heard it right here. Communities across Arizona and Oregon and Washington have reported multiple arson attacks targeting the specific ballot boxes, like places where the boxes are going. Let's just comprehend this. Somebody is aware of where the boxes are, and these are the boxes that are being targeted, which you really have to ask yourself how, who, and where do they know of this stuff? Destroying hundreds of ballots, prompting a swift response from election officials and law enforcement at all levels, state, federal, local. We're talking the full gamut of agencies are investigating this. This is what we have as of right now. In Phoenix, a fire damaged several mail-in ballots on the 24th of November. But right now, you're going to hear it right here. As of right now, Phoenix Police Department has a suspect in custody. His name, I'm not sure if I'm going to pronounce it correctly, it's Dieter, Dieter. Last name is Bradford, Bradford. And then I guess another last name, Klofkorn. Sorry, folks, rough name, but that's the name. You're hearing it here right now. And this individual, it set mailboxes ablaze to provoke arrest rather than for politically motivated reasons. This is what they're saying. My sources are saying that they're reaching out to the affected voters and they're ensuring that they can recast their ballot to ensure a good, safe election. And I think that is the key right here on this news. You're going to hear from me, Cinotti, coming to you, that your vote still counts. Your vote counts, and what you say means something, and you can recast your ballot. If you're one of these people in these areas, they're reaching out to the people they believe voted. If you put in for a mail-in ballot or an absentee ballot, there is a registry of that. So they're reaching out. But if you are one of these people, and it doesn't even have to be one of the states we just mentioned, if you're one of those people, you can also contact and say, hey, I think I might be, but there is going to be an opportunity for people to vote. So don't think that the ballots just disappeared. The incident overview, though, is what I got coming in. The arson attacks have primarily focused on the drop-off locations in heavily populated areas, with several of them have been set ablaze, and there's been some other defamation that we're not sure of the facts, my source is telling me, but there has been other things other than arson, but it's been in high populated areas. With the additional incidents in Oregon and Washington have destroyed a significant number of ballots, again, further raising voter concerns about the safety and the voting process. Let me say it here. This is the United States. We have ample resources. We will not allow anyone to disturb, disrupt, and infiltrate our election system. Make sure you understand that we're not reporting that is going on. They are doing everything in their power, all the above agencies, and some we probably don't know of, to ensure this doesn't happen. 90% of the time, these are just people that just do dumb things. They're not maybe a targeted attack bigger than you think. But we're not here to speculate. I'm here to give you the news. But I want to make sure when I said that you know that your vote still counts and you still have a chance. So law enforcement is stating that, like I said, that all levels of the authorities are treating this as deliberate attacks on our democratic infrastructure, and that they have pulled surveillance footage from several locations and has provided additional leads, as well as the suspect's vehicle and linking that vehicle to tracking to different locations. And In some cases, there were devices used to politically charge the system. I guess symbols. Again, this is breaking news. It's coming in sporadic pieces, but there have been some symbols. I don't want to speculate, folks, on that, but it is something there. Maybe by the next broadcast, I can give you more information, but I assure you, we gave you the suspect's name. You're not going to hear that anywhere else at this hour. Potential motivations behind these acts is what they believe is what these symbols might be, but we're not, my contact is not giving that information, so I'm not going to speculate. They are collaborating across state lines, folks. They are talking from state to state, and I want to make sure you understand, when you're dealing with the post office, that is a federal offense. So we're not going to break off here too hard, but when you're messed with the post office, that becomes a federal offense. The post office inspector general, which is their chief law enforcement person, gets involved. You also get all the other federal agencies involved. And you also, not only is it federal, but there are state crimes involved too, the arson and whatever means they use to gain access to this. Now, for those of you that are asking yourself, but double jeopardy in the U.S. Constitution says you can't be charged for the same crime twice. That's correct. But you can be. Here it is, folks. You heard it here. You could be charged for the same crime, even though double jeopardy is in the Constitution, but it does not apply if you're charged on a state level and a federal level. You heard it here, right from Cinotti. So this is a federal crime that we know, but there could be state charges as well. And it could be the same thing. It's not double jeopardy. You heard it here. Buy my book, The U.S. Constitution, coming out. Check us out. Eric A. Cinotti, Unplugged. Insights and Perspectives, and always The Hostile Zone. Both available on iHeartRadio. Check us out everywhere. So the voter reactions and security measures is obviously an important piece we're going to address here. The arson attacks have naturally raised concerns among the early voters, obviously, right? That people that are relying on that ballot, assuming that their vote is safe and secure, and it is an accessible way to vote. Some people, it's a long lines to vote, and sometimes people have a disability or whatever. They have a need for an absentee ballot or a mail-in ballot. There's a need for this. But rest assured, every vote will count. I assure you, no matter who wins the presidential election next week, either side is going to check, and I would too if I was running. They're going to check. So if you are in any of these areas and you feel that your vote didn't count, you can always contact your local voting, your state election commission, and they will advise you as how to go. You can always get another ballot, put it in. They won't count it if it's twice, but at least you know you got it out there, folks, because your vote does count. People shed blood for you to vote. You have a duty to vote. So election officials have also said they're responding with increased security now. So they're putting people out at these sites to ensure that this doesn't happen. That is a good conversation for one of my other shows or for another news day. Why did the government take so long to do this? And why was this not something that was happening all along? Is there something else going on? That you have to ask yourself. We will follow up on that. Voters deposited several votes into these affected boxes. And again, the government is saying, if you believe that you were one of those people, to contact them, just like I said, contact your state election commission. Easy to do. Contact, and they will get you set up. You can contact the state election, your county election, or even every city in town has somebody that's responsible for elections in that jurisdiction, even down to your small town, because you have your mayor, your council, and other elected people. So there is somebody you can get in touch with. We still have a week to go, roughly, to election. There's plenty of time. Plenty of time. Do not fret. Do not get upset. The situation will be handled. Your vote will count. But you need to know that these things are going on. And I'm happy to hear that the government is going to have security amped up at these drop-off sites so this doesn't happen again. Now, what are the implications for the democratic process? That, I think, is the bigger discussion here, because that is really what the question is, not this isolated incidents or whatever they might be. What is the broader implication? What are people going to see when they hear this story, when this story starts getting bigger and talked about elsewhere? What is this telling somebody, and who is behind it? I don't know, but that's the bigger question. This is a troubling series of arson incidents. Bottom line, there's broader implications no matter what. Well, we are resilient. We are a resilient nation. We are resilient people. And we are a resourceful nation and resourceful people. And we will get through this. We'll do it together. Don't get yourself all upset. Election officials are talking about, security experts are discussing about the tax being symptomatic of a larger problem, maybe potentially exacerbating the rise of misinformation. And if you watch any of my other shows, we talk about misinformation and disinformation. Don't confuse them. Misinformation, folks, is when somebody puts out the wrong information, but they didn't do it with a nefarious intent or any kind of intent for a reason. It was done accidentally. Disinformation is when it's done on purpose with an intent for an outcome to create a situation. This is being characterized to create a misinformation, but I'm sure moving forward, somehow it's going to become a disinformation. So pay attention. Also, it's going to spawn a whole bunch of conspiracy theories around the entire election. We cannot let that dictate the news cycle for the next 7 days, or whatever amount of days we have. Cannot affect that news cycle. We cannot affect our focus. We have to be steadfast and driven that we are a democratic republic country. We vote for our elected officials, and that process is why we are the greatest nation in the world, and why people are continuously trying to come here. They're coming into our border because we're a great nation. No one's jumping off the border to leave. So keep that in your mind. And so there are going to be conspiracy theories, but just know that conspiracy theories have a place, and it's not on the news. Authorities are emphasizing the need, though, for vigilance and encouraging people to continue to participate and be a part of the electoral process, and ensuring that everyone is eligible and registered and actually exercises their right to vote. Let me preface that, okay, folks? You have to vote, and they want you to know, and I want you to know, and it is our duty as media personnel, news personnel, on-air personality. We have to be due diligent in what we provide you information, and we have to make you understand and feel comfortable about it. The electoral process is a wonderful thing. It's what makes us unique, what makes us as great as we are. Do not let these stories make you think your vote doesn't count, or make you not show up to the polls, or make you even question what's going on. Whatever news outlet you're watching, this is the one you want to be in. You may hear several other stories, but this is the real story as of right now. And I am assuring you, Eric A. Cinotti, right here, telling you your vote counts. And as a military veteran, people have shed blood for you to vote. Please don't let these stories cloud the entire electoral process. Your vote counts. Please get out to vote. You are safe to vote. There is nobody saying that any of these incidents would be something that would potentially harm an individual or anybody. This was attacks towards specific ballots, not towards individuals. So don't feel that your safety is in jeopardy or anything like that. Please make sure you vote. If you need to get a vote out, make the phone calls and ask for a mail-in ballot if you can't get there. Do anything you have to do to make it happen. Just do not forget, and do not let other news or maybe so-called news outlets cloud your judgment. This story is isolated. Even though it sounds a couple states, it's isolated. It is not a systematic issue. They might be looking for the bigger issue to ensure that. But as of now, This is not a systemic issue. You should vote. I'm going to vote. You have to vote. Every vote will be cast. So that is the news brief for today. So as investigations progress, authorities are going to remain committed to identifying and prosecuting everybody responsible and engaged in this attempt to mess up the voter process, whatever you want to call it. They're going to continue. If we named one person, there are several people being looked at. That's the one we can put out to you now. Everybody knows how it works. This guy's sitting in custody. Everybody, when they get in there, I'm sure he's going to start naming who helped him. But we'll see where the news takes us. I'm not going to put that out now, but I mean, it's multiple states in one person named so far, so you can speculate however you like. They are assuring you, though, that they're protecting our democratic process and maintaining voter confidence is essential. And that is our duty as media people. I'm telling you that it is the confidence in our election system is paramount to who we are. And you need to trust that. And you need to let things play out as they do and just do your due diligence. And your due diligence is not to be swayed by people that are providing information that is not actual news, and not to be swayed by other issues that are going on. Just to be razor focused that we have to elect a leader in our nation who's going to ultimately be the leader of the free world, whether it be Kamala Harris or Donald Trump. Either one, we're not here to say, but one of them is going to win. You need to cast your vote, regardless of all this other thing. Now, thank you for joining me, Eric A. Cinotti. Stay tuned